Howdy, my name is Nonat, and before we get started today, I just want to say hello to the literal hundreds of new subscribers I've gained since Tuesday. Thanks for checking out the channel, and thanks for sticking around to see some extra content. In case you're interested, we do have a community Discord linked right in the description. We talk about a lot of Pathfinder, but we do talk a lot about D&D, video games, movies, really anything nerdy, and if you're interested in joining a community like that, I highly recommend checking it out. So, at the end of my last video, that's the secret ending, for those of you who stuck around long enough to actually see it, I mentioned a specific variant rule for Pathfinder 2e. I mentioned that, personally, it's my favorite way to play the game. Now, before you write this off saying, that's a variant rule, not the way the system was designed to be played, Paizo already made note of that. Within the Game Mastery Guide, Paizo mentions that the rules in the core rulebook were designed as a baseline experience, and that the variant rules within the Game Mastery Guide are all valid for different playstyles. So rather than looking at these variant rules as fixes for the system, I think it's far more fair to look at them as options. Just like how in Dungeons & Dragons, some tables do prefer rolling for stats, while other people use the point-buy system. Just different strokes for different folks. With that said, I've been using the free Archetype variant rule for the past 4 months and never looked back. We use it in the game where I'm a player, and I use it in both of my Patreon campaigns. Before I go any further, this video really won't mean much to you if you don't know what an archetype is. The long and short of it is that archetypes are Pathfinder 2e's multi-class system, but there's a whole lot more to it than that. If you don't know what an archetype is, or you just need a refresher, might I recommend this video up here I made a few months back where I go over all the ins and outs of how archetypes work. Now, the free archetype variant rule is actually incredibly simple. At every even level, all player characters get a second additional feat that they can only spend on archetypes. That's it. That's the rule. Now, on paper, this sounds crazy overpowered. Like a level 20 character will have 10 additional feats they can spend. Shouldn't that make them completely overpowered? Surprisingly, no. But it does make them completely diverse. Some characters really want to accomplish a specific thing. Let's say a fighter with a bow really wants the triple shot feat. Well, to take triple shot, you're gonna need double shot as a prerequisite, and you might as well take point blank shot as well because it synergizes really well with your playstyle. If this is the case, your level 1, 2, and 6 feats have basically all been picked for you. Now, you're not forced to take these feats, but if you want a bunch of options on what to do in combat with your bow, you don't want to miss out on those. But let's say you also want to be able to cast some healing magic and play as a backline bow fighter that can also fire off some support healing when it's necessary. Well, if you wanted to be able to do that, you'd need to spend 2 of your class feats on the Cleric Archetype Dedication, as well as the basic Cleric Spellcasting feat. Playing with the base rules, this would mean you'd have to give up 2 of your class feats, meaning 2 of those bow feats that you really wanted, in exchange for the spell casting. This is especially detrimental if you want something like triple shot, which has a prerequisite, which means you're even farther behind getting the bow feat you want because you took the cleric feats. Now, for some tables, having to choose between power and diversity is great. That restriction really puts a lot of weight on every choice you make for your character. Do I want to shoot better with my bow, or do I want to cast magic? Do I want to improve my sneak attacks, or do I want to learn how to wear heavy armor? Do I want to expand my sorcerer's bloodline, or have 4 animal companions? The free archetype variant rule lifts a lot of this restriction. Since archetype feats in general are weaker than class feats, getting them every 2 levels for free isn't actually that game-breaking. You still need to meet the level requirements too, so in order to take basic cleric spellcasting, your fighter still needs to be level 4. Then at that level, the fighter will have 2 cleric cantrips and a level 1 cleric spell slot per day. Compare that to a level 4 cleric who has 5 cantrips, 3 first level spell slots, 3 second level spell slots, and 3 or 4 additional second level spell slots thanks to their divine font, and you can see the difference in power of a primary class versus an archetype. The Archetype system gives you a cup filled most of the way with Fighter, but you can still get a few drops of Cleric in there at the soda machine. Now, one of the greatest things about the free Archetype variant is that it takes away the punishment of investing in roleplay archetypes. There are a few archetypes that were added in the Advanced Player's Guide that add tons of flavor and roleplay potential, but give absolutely no combat advantage whatsoever. So in the base rules, if your fighter wanted to take the dandy archetype to make themselves a little more refined and a little sneakier when it comes to social situations, you would actually need to give up one or two of your main fighter feats in order to do that. This means that fighter at level 2 would need to give up double shot in order to spread rumors effectively. Not exactly an equal trade. Thanks to the free archetype variant, you can take little dips into these roleplay archetypes without feeling like you're falling behind by missing out on your class feats. It really helps to make interesting and diverse characters with a plethora of options available to them. You can even double down on the combat archetypes, play a fighter who also dips into the archer archetype, and just go all in on your bow gameplay. Absolutely valid. Does this mean archetypes are useless in the base rules? No, absolutely not. You can still be completely viable and never take a single class feat. This is because the strongest aspects of each class come from their primary level ups, not their feats. The fighter's weapon proficiency bump ahead of all the other classes is a class feature. The wizard's spell progression has nothing to do with the feats they choose. What this means is if you spend all 10 of your even-leveled feats up through level 20, you would still be an incredibly powerful wizard at that point. You would just have a drastically different skill set within you. Another fantastic use of the free archetype variant is for campaign-specific settings. For example, the Strength of Thousands adventure path coming out next year from Paizo takes place in the Magambia Magic School, where all of the players will be starting as students in that school. Well, it wouldn't make a lot of sense for just a fighter or a barbarian to be hanging out at a magic school, so all player characters are required to take a spell casting archetype at level 1 for free, in addition to their basic level up progression. Now, you don't have to use the free archetype variant rule with this campaign and just have them take the dedication and decide how much they want to expand upon it, but I think the free archetype variant will work incredibly well in this campaign, as your barbarian can still get barbarian feats and actions while also learning a little bit of magic in the background to represent their studies. Also, just for a second, can we talk about how Paizo literally hinted at the Magambia Magic School campaign in the Game Mastery Guide? Look at it, it is right there. The same idea can be applied to a pirate campaign, an archaeological dig campaign, or a campaign where all of the players are a member of a specific organization, such as the Hell Knights. The last little thing I want to touch on is the special restriction found in every single archetype. No matter what archetype you pick, with very few exceptions, you need to take 3 feats, counting the dedication within that archetype, before you can pick any other archetype to follow. Luckily, Paizo thought about this and really just said, it's fine, remove the 3 feat restriction and just let people pick archetypes as they will. But I would be careful with that. If you completely remove the requirement to take a few feats out of each archetype, you can end up with some interesting characters.
Oh, hey, I forgot to ask, what character did you bring to today's session? Oh, I just brought my level 20 barbarian with the acrobat archer, blessed one cavalier, beastmaster, duelist, gladiator, herbalist, ranger, wizard, linguist, dandy, pirate, scout, scrounger, cleric, eldritch archer, shadow dancer, familiar master, Viking archetypes. Huh.
So I'd say just remove that restriction from the first archetype a player picks. After that, they do need to take 3 feats from any future archetypes, but this way they don't get stuck in them at low levels. And that's it. From there, the options at every even level just explode with choice and options, and the players have a lot of choices to make. Do they pick 1 or 2 archetypes to master alongside their main class? Or do they double down on diversity and sacrifice their class feat in exchange for 2 archetype feats every even level, mastering as many different archetypes as possible? Yes, that's allowed. This variant rule makes Pathfinder 2E's greatest strength even stronger. Customization. With this rule, it will truly be your character. Now, if you want truly imbalanced characters, check out the dual class variant. Thanks for watching, y'all. I hope you enjoyed this video talking about the free Archetype variant. I've been meaning to make this video for a few months now, but I'm actually glad it took as long as it did because it's given me time to play with the variant rule and really feel confident about my opinions. I want to give a huge shout out to my patrons for supporting me. Thank you all so very much for what you do. If you want to support me, the best way to do that is to leave a like and a comment and subscribe here on the channel. If you're interested in going even further, there is a link to the Patreon in the description of this video where you can help support me financially by pledging a monthly subscription. You do even get some free stuff now and then. Like I said before, there's a link to the Discord. We would love to have you in the community. It is a great place to just hang out and talk to people. And finally, there's a link to my Twitter where sometimes I post stupid stuff like this. Sorry for not posting more videos this week. It's been a little crazy, but next week we should be all back to normal. I should be able to get that Lizard Folk guide out to you guys, as well as the Cleric guide, as well as some other non-system specific roleplay videos too. So thanks again for watching, y'all. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And until next time, no nat ones.